Okay, right. The big picture, and that's all I'm going to say, because before we go any further, Arkin, I'd like you to introduce the show like you did in my voice earlier before we recorded.
This is the big picture?
He actually sounds like me, and I couldn't believe. We were playing with accents, because his French accent is pretty cool. But then
the French approach to accent is
he did me, and he said, when I speak English, that's me. How did you do it? Do it again.
I don't do that. I don't, it's not an impersonation or anything. It's just, I don't like the sound when I do that. And I catch myself doing that all the time because I talk to you. This is the most amount of English I talk in a week. That's why my whole practice is coming from you. That's why I'm a little more affected than your accent, which rubs off on me.
Okay, how do we do it?
I don't know how I do it. It's like the end goes up. The end goes up. This is the big picture. I don't know why, but it's the big picture. You're all welcome here.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I'm not a native speaker of this language or any other language at all, because I've been exposed to both languages at the same time. I became a native speaker of both. That's why I can think in both languages at the same time. If I'm speaking in one, I can usually get the other put on a shelf for a certain amount of time.
Which is very lucky for me, because I speak not one word of Turkish, so the common language for us is English, which is great for me. Isn't it?
In it, yeah.
Right.
The new language of the world is now written on the walls of huge billboards in the buildings where people can't go up without an escalator or elevator, whatever.
Drones.
The drones are now being hacked with spray paint on them.
This is incredible.
And this incredible thing has just started in New York. This is a very new thing, which we will be airing this episode around a week later. So you may come across a lot more in this past week.
Yeah. So there was all fire extinguishers they're using, and they're using all sorts of things to spray paint everywhere. They're actually flying.
There ain't no stopping us now.
They're actually flying like 6 floors up to spray Justin Bieber's face or something like stupid like this, aren't they?
Well, this is
Who is this guy doing it?
The first guy that started doing this is living in New York, and he painted on a certain billboard ad, and he just tagged it. There's nothing special on it yet, but he's called Katsu, and he hacked a Phantom drone, which DJI produced. It's a quadricopter that floats in the air.
Yeah.
He hacked it. Instead of having a camera on it, he has a can of paint spray, and he demonstrated that he could figure out how to do it. So you can do it by watching it on YouTube. And now he's just hacked on this drone and drew a tag of himself on Calvin Klein commercial.
Yeah. I'm just going to say, without Arkin actually listening to this, we will put this on the screen, okay? Because every time I say screen, he looks at about 23 screens in the studio to see.
I'll just close my eyes. Whichever screen you like, you may see it on.
So this is going to be the next fad, do you reckon? I mean, this is what everyone's going to be starting to do this.
Well,
unbelievable.
I've been around Europe a lot, and not as much as I would like, or my wife would have liked us to travel, but I've seen strangest places with graffiti on, and they were really great. I always used to think, how on earth these guys got up there, spend that much time producing this much art, and without getting caught, because this is illegal. It's called vandalism for no reason.
Indeed, yeah. Of course
because I like my walls without paint, or the original paint. I just thought of them because I have no imagination.
I would say I wouldn't be surprised that in years to come that when you wake up, or when you, if you can't sleep and you look out your bedroom window one night, you may see a big smiling face on the moon.
Why not?
There's no limits.
Because
the boundaries are endless.
When video mapping started, you know what video mapping is?
Yeah.
Okay, when video mapping started, people painted on structures, buildings, huge areas, stuff that you would never think about because it was just light. It was non-destructive.
Yeah.
That's why holograms and holo protests are now non-destructive, but they disrupt the flow of control that comes from the governmental hive mind to the individual soul, let's say. That's why the moon will be painted in light. This is my premonition of it.
Absolutely.
Because you can pinpoint a location where the moon will be at a certain time, and you can maybe in the future, or maybe just tomorrow, if someone knows how to do that technologically, you can project a hologram and it will be backlit by the moon, let's say a full moon, from a specific location that will be visible and nowhere else.
I mean, up to this point, there's been some impressive holograms and laser light shows, in the sky. And even if you go back 20 years, just the aeroplanes with trails of smoke.
Well, any geographical structure can play a part. If it's providing you a backlight for a screen up in the sky.
Yeah. Can you imagine how much companies could charge you? You want to advertise your latest product on the moon? Of course you can. It's going to cost you blah, blah, blah.
Remember a guy who sold pixels on a website?
Yes.
That was a brilliant idea.
That was a very, very clever idea.
If you offer services for a set fee and those services are really cheap, no one bothers looking at you. And instead of doing that, you say, I take 10 clients a year and each client has to pay 10,000 regardless of the job.
Yeah.
They just get in queues to be one of those 10. This is reverse psychology, I think, because it's not logical. It doesn't make sense. This is you, by the way. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Doesn't, does it?
It doesn't. But people just do it. If you could advertise if you could sell the moon as an advertising tool, I'm sure, because all these are tax deductible, any company would pay billions.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think money would be an object if that was the case. We could advertise whatever
It's the freaking moon.
On the moon. But you could only do this, obviously, on nights of full moons.
Not only that, because, a full moon could always have clouds.
Ooh, cloud advertising. Well, there is a kind of a cloud.
Wow, cloud advertising. That would really make, everything, the whole game change.
Wow.
Guys, we're not smoking anything, we're not drinking anything, we're totally sober. This sounds like crack talk.
Do you know, what we're talking about is if you go back like maybe 50 years ago and people were talking about this kind of thing, man walking on the moon, it would have sounded just as stupid.
50 years ago?
50,
not really, because it was in 69 that they went up there.
I can't count. Hang on. 59, 69, 79, 89, 90, 2009. 60 years ago. Go back 60 years, and this would have sounded just as crackable as what it does today. But yeah, why advertising? We're running out of ideas. To be creative, creativity has really gone a long way in the past 20 years.
The key word in that sentence is we. We are running out of ideas because we think inside the box. Thinking outside the box means not thinking about outside of the box living in. It means thinking from outside. That means you can see the box that you are thinking on. Just like a chessboard. You can only play chess on a chessboard or checkers because that is the board. The board has changed. That's what I've been telling everyone that I meet. The board has changed because the matrix has changed. The matrix is the physical reality that we are projecting mentally outside. The structure, the fabric of that reality is coming from a connection in subquantum level via energy, only energy, light. Yeah. And that connection grid is called the matrix in the context that I'm talking about.
Yes, yeah.
That matrix has changed. That's why anything is possible now. We just don't know the ins and outs of this magnetic reality yet.
Well, I'm sure the technology to do this kind of thing is available.
Yeah, because they couldn't go through the last batch. They haven't released it yet.
Yeah.
For example, think about these smartphones that the frequency that they release a new one. It's always counterintuitive. Yeah. You just pay a huge amount for one, the new comes out. And it's always they're watching the others quarterlies.
This moon advertising, cloud advertising is absolutely perfect for that kind of
We should patent
product.
this.
Maybe we should start playing with clouds and see what we can do. Let's have a look at a young man called Elon Musk who's made his fortune at PayPal and he's gone into other areas and he's done pretty well with it. And now
I think his epitome of wealth production comes from Tesla Motors.
Well, I was just going to say he's Tesla plays heavy part on this story. Now your own battery at your own home that can power your own water, your television, independent of anything
grid
coming from the grid. Yeah,
the city grid.
And this is happening now, and in fact they're ready to go into production with it.
They are now producing and
They're doing it now,
they
yeah.
will be in full production by 2020.
Yeah.
And by that time, it will still be illegal to go off the grid, mind you.
Yeah, what is the situation with this thing? Because this guy's not stupid. This guy's opening 2 plants to build these things. But if this is still classed as illegal,
This
what's
is not
the way around this?
This is not illegal. Going off the grid is illegal. You can still be connected to the grid
But this
by
is gonna
not
be-
using it.
This is going to be solar power, isn't it? They're going to
Yeah,
use
this
solar
this
power
is
for
this is going to be solar panels
Yeah.
collecting energy, and this battery, which is like huge, by the way, 220 pound, which is 110 kilos, 105 kilos, let's say. That bulk of a battery will be installed on your wall, and that thing will power all your electrical
Everything you need at
appliances
home, yeah.
in your home.
Yeah.
And you can always use a Tesla motor electric car, which is 100% electric. It's not a hybrid car. It uses only electric power. That's why it doesn't produce, let alone carbon dioxide. It doesn't even produce any engine sound because it's totally silent. You go, tss, and that's the sound that comes from tires touching the asphalt.
So this kind of poo-poo's the Audi idea we were talking about last week about clean green petrol. Yeah.
That's clean air because it still uses carbon dioxide. You're still releasing carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and that is entropy. We are not against entropy. Entropy is life on this planet, and it is what gives life its meaning because it ends. Why is everyone trying to extend the lifespan? Because entropy is there, evident in your life. Because what is a life? Life is something that ends. That's why it is important to value it. That's why it's important to have one instead of spending or wasting one.
Of course, and we're all not too sure how long our lifespan is. I mean, we're all different, and so
you can always get
most
hit.
of it.
There's a chance that you die in a plane crash, then you win the big prize in the lottery.
Yeah.
Which is higher. The plane crash is higher. And we still take on flights and planes, and we still believe that we may win the lottery. The lottery is already won. We already have a present, and that present time is all we have.
Yeah, of course. As long as you're still living in the present, then your quid's in.
Living in the present is the whole thing.
But can I just go back to the battery? Apparently, it comes with its own backup system, a generator as well, and for the price they're going to cost. I mean, it's going to make a mockery of pulling electricity from the national grid. Nobody's going to do it. $3,500 for a battery to power your home.
$5,000, let's say. $5,000, including the backup system, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Considering that you're living in a country where sunlight is only 30% of the time available for collection. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 5,000. Divide that to your electric bill, it's like 2 or 3 years.
Paid for. Yeah.
It is paid
for itself.
And it's paid for once. That's what we've been always talking about.
Surely there's going to be an outlaw here which is going to say, wait a minute, you can't do this. If many people are going to jump on the bandwagon here and say, we want one of these, and of course, and why not?
It's not only homes, it's
companies,
it's companies. The big companies would want to pay less. Whenever there's a possibility that anyone would pay less for anything, they would. Yeah. We would. That's why if these huge production houses, companies, blah, blah, were to cut themselves off the grid, which is illegal, then there would have to be a change in law.
There would be a levy on other things. I would imagine the government would say, well, okay, now we're losing billions here.
They would just tax.
They will tax other things.
No, not all other things, but the battery. The original amount of production value, or not production value, but anything that would cost until it comes on the shelf is 3,000, but added 30,000 tax to compensate for the loss of money, then you would not be able to afford one.
Well,
just like what we live here.
But even at that price, I mean, if you think about it, you're a company, you're an industry, you're paying thousands and thousands of dollars, pounds, lira, whatever, over the years. Surely, even if they say it's going to cost you 30,000 in tax, that's still not going to be enough. So maybe they're going to say you can lease this from the government, and you will pay 30,000 every 10 years for this. So it's not
for companies. Yes, it makes sense, but for households, not really, because instead of paying that, I'm already enslaved to this electrical grid. I'll just stay here which in turn, not everyone is awake. That's a definite yes.
Yeah.
So not everyone would see the benefit of producing solar sourced electric power in your house by yourself. Not everyone would see that.
Yeah.
And the ones who would not constitute a majority in the beginning.
In the beginning, surely that's going to change.
2015 now. 2020 is the time
5 years time,
this production facility is going to go full production. And there'll be huge changes in the world order in the next 5-6 months. We will start seeing them, just like the volcanic eruption and the huge earthquake on both sides of the world. Both sides of the world, Chile and Nepal.
Nepal, yeah.
And now, if you have checked the link that I posted yesterday, there are now simultaneous eruptions of volcanoes all around the world. It's like the whole world is lit up. And this is shifting in the world frequency, which is a dimensional shift. And it is going to affect everything. Think about a human being in size compared to the world. That's, that's the one is the world. Yeah,
minuscule, yeah.
It's not even minuscule. It's a minute. It's a second. Second. That much of magnetism is going on the world, the Earth, planet Earth. Mother Gaia is now shifting dimensions, shifting frequencies, and everything is affected. To begin with. If you don't believe in astrology, or if you don't think any planet or star system would affect your life, think about this. You're living on a planet according to its seasons and rules, which make up your whole fashion, let's say, because you cannot say, I won't be affected by weather today.
Because you will be.
And you live your life according to time, which is decided by a star, the nearest one, sun. So how more can you be affected by planets and stars?
And, over the next 5 years, it's not only going to be that. I mean, over the next 20 years or so, it's going to be...
The next two are very important. This whole change is going to reveal itself in the next 2 years. Just like I always say this, but I'll give the example again. If no one says that it is the New Year's, you won't understand it. You won't feel it. At 12 o'clock, the New Year starts. And if you don't look at a watch or see it on a screen, the countdown, and at the end, you realize that it's the new year, it's an outside source that tells you. Because you live your life not thinking anything is changing, but you realize that everything is changing very rapidly in the big picture. And this is just like that. The next 2 years, the next 6 months is the initiation of this change.
20 years or so's time, we're going to realize when we really do start running out of water, we really do start running out of food.
We won't. That's what I'm saying. We won't start. Those are the results of fear-mongering, the agenda that wants to keep you in line for something. For example, global warming. There is something like that, right?
Yeah.
You can't deny it. The globe is warming, but not only due to carbon dioxide collection in the atmosphere. Not only that, Earth's frequency is getting higher. What happens when a frequency gets higher? Heat is produced.
Well, with 7 billion people on the Earth, and don't forget how much light do we need to keep 7 billion people happy in the dark hours,
and how much light we need to keep the internet working,
and how much is that emitting?
We are producing a lot of electromagnetism with wireless energies, with all these smartphones that are connected to a grid. For example, you go on a highway, your car automatically is recognized by a system, which is RF, radio frequency. We work on a radio. We record this in a radio studio. And was it Norway? I don't remember for sure, but you can always search for it. They are banning FM frequency completely.
Yes, it is Norway, yeah.
And FM frequency can be used for... Hold on to your pants.
Isn't it the microwave?
No. FM frequency can be used for mind control. It can be used to implement ideas in your head, which you would think is intuition, which is not. And it's a government secret that has been tested in 90s or 80s in Iran.
This is not the reason why they're banning FM frequency.
No, but FM frequency does affect people psychologically. It does. And all this will be cleaned off because they are trying to make space for more wireless technology. 4G, LTE, 5G. What is that? G, that's the generation. First generation, then GPS, then second generation, the third generation, the 3G is fast for us now. Think about it. The amount of information that can be carried wirelessly. We are going in the footsteps of Nikola Tesla. That said, you can harvest energy wirelessly.
Well, I'm glad you've come to that name again, because I wanted to talk to you more about some of his ideas. A lot of people don't understand how many ideas this guy had.
He had more than 160 patents that have been confiscated by the FBI, and all of these ideas, patents, have been used in technologies that we see now. We literally, quite literally, owe the modern technology and modern times to him. Edison is thought to have invented light bulb.
Well, the godfather of the godfather.
But he only invented one thing, one thing only: the electric chair to electrocute prisoners. Nothing else. Everything else is either stolen from other people or patents bought from other people or stolen from Tesla.
Yeah. Now, we were talking about the battery which you can power your house with, which is a Tesla idea. And
it's a brand.
Well, you've just mentioned that Tesla's ideas have been used and tried out in tests and so on. The question I wanted to ask you is, how many more of Tesla's ideas do you think we're going to start seeing come to the forefront in the coming few years?
I think most of them will be more available because humanity will be more readier, if there's a word like that, to accept these ideas. We talked about Vimanas, Mahabharata's Vimanas, in the last episode. It's ancient. When I say ancient, it's more than ancient. Around some more than 5,000 years old. I may be mistaken. Please look into it yourself. This is taken from Indian epic Mahabharata. They are talking about flying vehicles in a way that they could only understand.
Did I hear something about Tesla being involved with a flying vehicle?
He had some ideas about a flying vehicle that was powered by rotating electromagnetic currents. But who is to produce it? Big companies, because they have the resources and power. Apart from all these, there's only one guy, Tesla Motors. He released his patents or blueprints of this technology to the world, thinking we kept all these ideas or blueprints to ourselves, thinking everyone would want to copy them, but realized that they don't. That's why we are releasing it to public. They made everything public. You can build a Tesla motor engine yourself if you have the means to it, because they have released every plan for it. No one's doing it. Volkswagen, the brand, produced a fully electric car, which is banned from US. Why would you say it is?
I believe Google have actually designed an electric vehicle as well.
Google scares the shit out of me because they control the information flow. Knowledge is power, but knowledge is nothing if you have no wisdom how to use it.
Are we talking about Google?
Yeah, we're talking about Google.
Fair comment. And on that note, I think I'm going to have something to eat, and we'll...
I think I may want to replenish my caffeine dosage.
Okay, then we'll do that again next week. Alkin, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.